I'd like to introduce now State Representative Jim Townsend from the 26th District, Royal Oak and Madison Heights. Jim is currently serving his second term in the State House. He served as Executive Director of the Tourism Economic Development Council. He founded and directed the Michigan Suburbs Alliance. Jim has led national marketing and sales efforts for Ford Motor, including the $4 billion minivan. He holds an MBA and a master's degree in public policy from the University of Michigan, bachelor's from the University of North Carolina. Let's welcome Jim.
Well, thank you all for being here, and thanks for that ridiculous introduction. I'm here just to really introduce somebody else who might really be our Joseph Stalin. I mean that in the best way possible. I had the privilege of sponsoring the legislation in the House that created the Regional Transit Authority, and I mention that only because it was an incredibly difficult thing, not for me to do, but for our whole system and our region to embrace. It was the 24th time that it was attempted to pass this legislation over probably a 35 or 40-year period. And the reason that's important is it should give all of us pause in the moment we're in now, where we're talking about how we implement this Regional Transit Authority and create a great transit system, because these kinds of opportunities don't come along very often. And I'm reminded of a joke. Somebody once asked, how many Metro Detroiters does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer is that it doesn't matter, because we don't know we're in the dark. And that was really our situation before getting regional transit passed, and really it's still a situation we confront to some degree here, because people, I think, as Toby said, people do kind of want transit. They sort of think it's a good idea, but they really don't know what life can be like in our region if we can pass or create a regional transit system and deliver the kind of transportation opportunities that are so important. And so I'm going to now turn to introduce Paul Hillegonds. He is chairman of the Regional Transit Authority. He was appointed by Governor Snyder to that post just a couple of months ago. He also serves as senior vice president at DTE Energy, where he heads up their government affairs and community relations and communications there. But prior to that, sometime before that, he was the Speaker of the House in the Michigan House of Representatives. He served in the legislature, I think, for 17 years. And after leaving the legislature, he took over an organization called Detroit Renaissance and and that's where I first met him. He did some really landmark work trying to bring our region together around things like transit. And he helped lay the groundwork for where we are today in terms of transit. Now, Paul no longer serves in the legislature because he was term limited. One of the worst ideas that we've ever approved in this state is the concept of term limits. And why it's such a bad idea is not because it's going to get rid of Jim Townsend and kick me out of the legislature. It's because it gets rid of people like Paul Hillegonds out of the legislature. But it's we should all remember that actually we're all term limited. We only have so much time to make an impact in our own lives. And the thing I want to leave you with is that really transportation is destiny. You know, what we do with our transportation system has a huge impact on what our economic and social destiny is. And so everybody in this room, I hope you'll think about what your legacy might be, because we're all term limited, and we all have an opportunity to make a real difference with the time we have. So with that, I'd like to bring up a wonderful leader, Paul Hillegonds, to talk to you about his vision for the RTA. Thank you.
Good morning. Jim, thank you for your kind introduction, although I've never been in the same introduction as Joseph Stalin, but that's all right. Yeah. I want to thank you all. Certainly the U of D Mercy, Leo and Marie, and all of the sponsors for this session, but especially you, who are going to be the core of what I hope will be advocacy for a more robust, coordinated, convenient public transportation system in southeast Michigan. In the pre-meeting conversations, it dawned on me that there's not everyone in the room has a lot of knowledge about what has happened with the passage of the RTA Act, the Regional Transit Authority Act. It does represent, as Jim has noted, over 30 years of effort, not only in the region, but at the state level, to finally have an authority who can think about a more coordinated, planned system. We have 10 board members, one City of Detroit representative, Lisa Franklin. Lisa, wave your hand, she's here today. Thank you, Lisa. 2 Macomb County representatives, Roy Rose and Julie Gotti. 2 Oakland County representatives, Matt Wergo and Steve Potter. 2 Washtenaw County representatives, Liz Gerber and Richard Murphy, and I saw them here today. Liz and Richard, thank you. And 1 non-voting gubernatorial appointee. We have an interim staff. Dennis Shornack from the governor's office is coordinating the staff. We also have the help of individuals from MDOT, SEMCOG, and I do want to note especially Chanel Jackson. Is Chanel here this morning? I don't know if she is. But many of you, as you get involved in planning a regional system, will get to know Chanel, who's on an interim basis at least, working on our community outreach. And she's a former state representative and already been out and about talking with groups. We've had an initial board meeting that was in April. We had our second meeting this past week, and we've had 2 workshops as a board. And we have established 3 committees. The executive committee, we've elected our officers, a planning and coordination committee, which will be involved mainly in the master planning, and a finance and budget committee. The initial steps really are startup steps. We've done things like pass our bylaws, adopt our bylaws. We are developing a procurement policy. Most important, I think, for the subject at hand over the next couple of days, we have established a process to appoint a Citizens Advisory Committee, which will range in number anywhere from 10, but I expect it'll be more towards the outward number of 30, who will represent, we hope, a broad, diverse group that can give us feedback on our master planning and coordination mandates, as well as help in a campaign down the road to fund an enhanced regional system. What are our mandates? We are mainly mandated to work with our region's public transportation providers, DDOT, SMART, the Ann Arbor Transit Authority, and the Detroit Transportation Corporation, which is the people mover, on improved coordination of local transportation services. And the law asks us to look at routes, fares, stops, stations, and policies as we look for opportunities to better coordinate the local systems that are presently in place. Our second major mandate is to develop a regional master plan for enhanced transit. And we already have adopted, as required by law, the 2 master plans that are in place today, one of the Ann Arbor Transportation Authority and one that was put together by RTAA, which was made up of the county execs and the mayor. And that plan is primarily a bus rapid transit plan. And I expect that as we take on our role of going from that starting point of the 2 master plans that have been adopted to enhancing that master plan, that bus rapid transit will be a very important part of the master plan. Rail is potentially a part of the master plan. The legislature did require that in order to include rail in a system, it will require a unanimous vote of our board. So that's a high threshold, and we're going to have to learn consensus building in a hurry to do the kind of comprehensive master planning that I expect many in the room are interested in. Just a couple of notes about what I see as our major challenges as I think about this work ahead for us. First, it is really important that we act on our mandate to improve coordination between the local bus systems with a focus on serving transit customers, riders, as seamlessly as possible. And I think if we can get some early wins in better coordinating the systems, we'll have a much better chance of building voter support to enhance our transportation system. So that coordination mandate is a very important one for us to address up front. A second challenge, Jim, this goes for you and colleagues, but I think a major challenge is to reach bipartisan legislative agreement on a comprehensive transportation funding plan for the state. If more state resources are not available to match federal dollars and to support local bus operators, and the political issue of raising transportation taxes continues to go unresolved, it honestly is going to be much more difficult for us to build regional support for the funding necessary for rapid transit. So that is an important piece. It's not something we control, but if we're interested in transportation improvements for this region, we need to worry about state support for the regions. 2 minutes to go. And then our third challenge is a long, long history of not thinking regionally. We know that challenge. But the good news is that I believe that what Jim introduced, and thank you, would not have happened without the support of the county execs and the mayor who made the appointments to the board. And I believe our board wants to succeed at what we've been mandated to do. We know why this is so important. It's about connecting people in a very scattered region. The fact is, Detroit's lost hundreds of thousands of people in population, yet the region hasn't gained population. And one of the reasons we haven't grown as a region like others is that we are not well connected. Our public transportation is a key component of connecting people with jobs, and we are a region where people are separated a great deal from their jobs. But it's also about growing our core city. No successful region has a declining core city. And if we are going to attract young talent, professionals, build tax base in the city of Detroit, we're going to have a successful public transportation system. It's almost number one on everyone's list I talk to of young people who want to not only live and work in Detroit, but stay in Detroit and grow their families and businesses. And finally, I believe the Regional Transit Authority is a litmus test for our region. We have failed in so many ways to work as a regional economy, to work as a people regionally. And if we fail at this, it's just another setback to succeeding politically. And that is why I have taken this job, because I believe this is not only about the importance of public transportation, it's about reaching our full human and economic potential as Southeast Michigan. Thank you very much.